So what are changelings? I mean, the very interesting thing is that they have their natural form appears to be pony with horns and wings, but like a shadow version of pony. They are clearly, it's not like some amorphous blob. It's not like some other creature like doppelgangers typically are. It is a pony. And the queen is like the same size and shape as Celestia. The only difference is her crown is kind of like built in. Though notice how her shadow like foreshadowed that when she was singing in the early part. So what are they? I mean,
it's pretty obvious, right? I mean, every fantasy world inherits from the Tolkien fantasy world of Middle-earth. And in Middle-earth, you see the exact same thing. You have the orcs, right? The evil, the race of evil things. And, all the bad guys we've seen have been like individual magical beasts or dragons or things like that, right? But in terms of a race of bad guys, we've only seen one. It's changelings. So we compare it to the orcs. What are the orcs? Some bad guy Morgoth, who is even more bad than Sauron. People don't know about him, though, because they don't read the Silmarillion, because they can't. And then...
Dude, no one even knows who Star Swirl the Bearded is anymore.
Right. And, Morgoth, he took some elves, and he fucked them up big time, and he made orcs. And then the orcs had babies and made more orcs. So way back in the day, maybe even before the day of Star Swirl the Bearded, who knows when, maybe even more recently, some bad guy somewhere took some pony, and he fucked them up big time and made Changeling out of it. And then Changeling had babies, and then there was a race of changelings.
It's not a bad theory. However, I know that they have one queen, and then the rest of them seem to be all the same. Of course, maybe that's just racist. I can't tell the difference.
Saruman...
all changelings look the same.
Took orcs and made him even more bad by combining them with man and made Uruk-hai, and there was at least one Uruk-hai that was more bad than the other ones.
Yep, and then there's the Shrank, which were beautiful at least.
Same kind of situation, right? You see this in a lot of fantasy stories. Some race that is a deformed, mutilated version of some existing race because some bad guy screwed them up. So changelings are just bad pony.
So
That's why they're pony shaped.
I propose to you two alternate theories.
Okay.
So alternate theory number one. These are a sort of anti-pony, much like, I don't know if you've read The Golden Compass, but notice how they feed off of love.
And as queen of the changelings, it is up to me to find food for my subjects. Equestria has more love than any place I've ever encountered. My fellow changelings will be able to devour so much of it that we will gain more power than we have ever dreamed of.
You could imply that they also feed off of friendship. They're pony-shaped by nature, so ponies are elevated above other animals.
If they're pony-shaped, they either have to come from pony or have a common ancestor with pony.
Not necessarily. It could be an ancestor in different sense.
Mules and donkeys definitely do.
So in the Golden Compass, when you cut the fabric of reality, these sort of wraiths appear. Like they come out for every cut.
So you think they came from another plane of existence?
So my specific theory, what I posit, I'm not married to this, just an idea, is that ponies have this power of magic of friendship and love. And these changelings are almost like the opposite of that. They feed off of those things, like their heart is full.
No, I do not love the groom. In my heart there is no room.
Well, they have the same power. They just don't make it themselves.
Do they?
It's like when you need an essential amino acid, you got to eat it. But other things your body makes on its own by eating you can just eat whatever.
Well, no, that ties into my second theory. But is it that, or is it more that they lack it because they're a reflection of the balance, that ponies are like set apart and above everything else? I mean, they have cutie marks. They have all these like special powers over their realm, that this is like the world's reaction to cause balance in the force.
Yeah, okay, so where did they actually come from, though?
The world itself, the natural order, in the same way that if you have a positron and a negatron or an electron.
So they just popped into existence because ponies exist?
I mean, that's how the wraiths in the Golden Compass. You cut a hole in the fabric and one pops out to make up for that hole. Guy with a knife in that case.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
No, I think it makes sense.
It makes no sense.
So another theory is that they're a natural being that evolved alongside ponies, and they look like ponies because...
What's the common ancestor then?
No, not common ancestor. More like a parasite, like fleas, that are evolving and living alongside something else, and through natural selection start to, act and move and be in a way that is conducive to their parasitism. So in this case, they become more pony-like as they have to assume the guises of ponies to feed off of their friendship.
That's similar to another idea that is an okay idea, which is that they're changelings. They can take whatever form they want.
They could, but if that's the case, they took the form of, Cadence, the queen did. The rest of them were all shaped like ponies, even on the outside. Why bother? Why not be shaped like dragons?
Because they happen to be in Equestria, where everything is conveniently designed for a pony-shaped body. If I was, I could change into any form, right? And I came to Earth, I would want to take a human form.
Are you kidding?
That's the most convenient
Depends
form.
on what you're doing.
Right. I mean, if I was going to just hide in a horse ranch, I would take the form of horse.
But they're going to invade. Why not pick something a little bigger or more powerful?
Because then it would be obvious, hey, a rhino doesn't belong here. And also, man, it's...
They were not subtle. They were just black and evil, banging on the shield going, here we are, here we are, here we are.
And apparently no one noticed because everyone was too busy getting married.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter at that point. And when it did matter, they, right?
And why did the queen, why did Chrysalis take a pony queen form? She could have taken some other form.
That's the, because I'm telling you, you're in a world where, the doors are pony sized. Things are made for ponies to hold them.
They weren't using doors. They were attacking Canterlot from the outside.
There are things to do. If I'm in this kitchen here, everything is made for man. Why would I take the form of non-man? It would just be really inconvenient. I'm a rhinoceros. It's really hard to use this sink.
If I was trying to fuck this place up, I would want to be a rhinoceros.
That's not
also, how
do.
come, if that's the case, that they all took the exact same form? Again, it might be racist that I can't tell them apart at all, but they all took the exact same form.
Because drawing a lot of different forms is a lot of hard work. If they would have attacked, the land of dragons, they would have all had some sort of dragon form because everything there is real convenient for dragons.
But if that's the case and a dragon was bigger, why weren't they just bigger when they were literally just attacking? There's no benefit.
Well, that's the one thing, right? Is notice that even when they did change, they didn't really change into bigger or smaller things.
Yeah.
Right? It's pretty much, you can't, maybe they can't get bigger. They only have so much material to work with. Right? So you can't be an elephant, that's why, the queen, she was big and she could turn into big stuff, but she couldn't, but the little guys, all they could turn into
I get the feeling, though, that is their natural form. And I think all of our other theories have a lot more.
I don't think you have a natural form when you're a changeling.
I think in this case they do. There's a lot of precedent for that, of having like a natural form, maybe some horrible maybe hairless monstrosity.
They don't know what form to take normally, and then they live in Ponyland, so that's they take a form similar to what they see around them.
But then why would, when Cadence was fake Cadence was confronted, did she turn into some weird queen when she could have turned into anything, or just stayed in that form that was
scary?
Easy? She could have picked something bigger and scarier.
She didn't need to, though.
I think the better answer, at least the simpler answer, is that there is
also,
some tie
maybe
between
that's
them and
a
ponies.
really comfortable form, right? It had all kinds of air holes in it. It's probably really cool. It's like, nice little lightweight wings that still work. A little aerodynamic horn. You're dark, so you absorb the heat in the winter, but you got the air holes, so you're cool in the summer. It might look scary and evil, but it just happens to be really convenient and comfortable. It's like it's not as comfortable as being a pony or a fly or a rhinoceros.
Well, we do know that she was planning this, or at least dreaming of this day, for a long time, because when she's singing about it, she wasn't singing about the wedding. I think there's some deep tie between them and ponies that's much more, maybe it's like the Cylons. Mr. has never seen Battlestar Galactica in any form.
I've seen it.
What's it about?
It's about these people, and the Earth gets totally hosed, and they're living in these spaceships, right? And they're like, okay, well, we're living in these spaceships, but when time the clock runs out, they're forced to teleport somewhere, right? They can't stay still, right?
So the things that destroyed them, Scott, they created them.
Right.
And they went off into deep space, and then they came back pissed. Changelings could be the same thing. Maybe some experiment gone wrong by Celestia and Luna.
That was the first thing I said.
Yeah, I'm saying I think that the theories that involve a deep tie between them and ponies have a lot more credence than a sort of like, they don't have a natural form, they're not tied to ponies answer.